Hey cousins, happy Thursday. Everybody has been acting up this week. So we have so much to cover and I want to get right into it, child. Kanye West is crashing out yet again. Ben and Jerry's and their free Palestine ice cream are in a messy lawsuit against their parent company. And we finally have the JFK files. Well, at least some of them. Meanwhile, I have a bone to pick with the Trump admin. Oh yes, in the name of Jackie Robinson. But on the bright side, the Department of Education is counting their final days, and I'm going to educate you guys as to why. Y'all know the vibes. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Welcome to Respectfully Xavier. So talking about the Department of Education is going to be the last segment of this show, but I do want to preface the episode with, again, our education system is in shambles. It doesn't matter if you're on the left, on the right, in the middle, it does not matter. I feel like everybody should be able to agree that our education system is a mess, child. And what is the solution to that? Supporting organizations like PragerU. PragerU is a 501c3 nonprofit. We make educational content. We make alternative curriculum for children. We have resources for parents, resources for school districts, etc. And you can help us keep our content free by making a tax-deductible donation to PragerU. And it is still our triple match month. So if you give $1, we are making it $3. So for every dollar you give us, it is being triple match. Head over to PragerU.com, check out all of our resources and educational materials, and please consider making a donation today. Like right after the show, or like open a tab and do something like that if you're on a laptop. You know the vibes. So anyway, let's start with Kanye West. Kanye West is once again getting on my nerve. Can someone please care about Kanye? Can someone please care for Kanye? Like, Kanye is so desperate for attention and a need to be seen and a need to be nurtured. And I really need somebody to just go and take care of this man, because as you guys know, I'm from Southside Chicago originally. I used to think I was Kanye. I had the pink polo. I had it all. I thought I was Kanye West. But every time this man is in the news, it's something more and more embarrassing. You know, you've seen all of his antics. It needs no introduction. But however, it got crazier. He's once again defending P. Diddy. And you know what? I'm not even going to spend much time talking about the Diddy stuff today, because I'm so tired of talking about Diddy. I just want to see that man get his justice, or get justice served upon him. Let me make that. They're going to clip that, make me look crazy. I want to see Diddy get what he deserves. But meanwhile, Kanye West is out here defending P. Diddy, saying that all these other rappers are also hitting their girlfriends and hitting women. And it's like, is that the standard now? Because all of your colleagues are abusing women, you think that that's your excuse to be like, oh yeah, well, if they're all hitting these females, then we can too. Please, Kanye, take your medication. It's out of control. But what he did that really shocked me, it always shocks me when he says something bold about Jay-Z, because Jay-Z is one of the big gatekeepers in the industry and one of those people who can make you disappear. I was shocked when I saw the tweet, and of all the tweets that he has made, of all the posts that he has made crashing out, this was one of the very few that Kanye actually deleted, where he came for the twins, Rumi and Sir Carter, Beyonce and Jay-Z's youngest two children, the twins. He said, wait, has anyone ever seen Jay-Z and Beyonce's younger kids? Y'all know I'm blind. They are, not the censor. They are Can you say, I don't know if you can say that word on YouTube, but calls them slow, basically. No, like literally, and this is artificial insemination, yada, yada, yada. Basically comes for the kids. This is gross for a number of reasons. Crash out all you want, do all your antics, be crazy, be wild, be yay. But don't come for kids. These are kids who are at the age, I want to say Rumi and Sir by now have to be 8, if I had to guess. That's really a shot in the dark. They're young, but they're at that age where they're really starting to understand what's happening around them. When people are talking about them, they're conscious. So to put them in that situation and to talk about them out loud like that is really, really crazy. Now, a lot of people are also mad at him because how dare he make this accusation, but again, it's not anybody's business to be talking about, but I have heard from many credible sources, and I will just put it that way, many credible sources, that Sir Jay-Z's son in particular actually does allegedly have autism. And I don't know if their twin daughter has it too, but it would not shock me. But nevertheless, if anything, that just makes it worse. If these kids are actually of special needs, and you just told that to the world when Jay-Z and Beyonce, as you are alleging, are hiding their kids from the world because their kids do have special needs. That is just a level of disgust that I should have expected it from Kanye, but he continues to take the bar lower and lower into hell. But the reason I really wanted to talk about him today, because I just thought it was so weird, this rant he went on about Kim Kardashian. So Kim Kardashian, which I feel like everybody that has had a child with the Kardashians has talked about this before. Kris Jenner is not about to let anybody have the rights to these grandkids' names besides the Jenners until these kids become 18 years old. Or besides Kris Jenner, besides the Kardashians, besides the girls. So Kanye got mad when he found out that Kim has registered and trademarked the names of all of their children, particularly Northwest made him the most mad, their eldest daughter, because he wanted to be able to have control over what it is that are, or what business ventures that Northwest endures on, because this girl's already a millionaire and she's 11, 12 at this point. And I just thought it was so weird, this particular rant he went on. I want to read this to y'all. He says, so Kim got the name and likeness over my black children, so a white woman has control over the name and likeness of my black children, and then speaks to Cardi, referring to rapper Playboy Cardi, about putting my daughter on a song with him. These dumb A celebrities be trying to play with me in my face. This is like a Victim Olympics audition or tryout, in my opinion. What do you mean you're mad that this white woman has control over the name, image, and likeness of your kids? You suddenly have an issue with Kim Kardashian being a white woman. It wasn't an issue when you were sleeping with her. It wasn't an issue when you were pursuing her. It wasn't an issue when you married her. It wasn't an issue when you made her the mother of your children or when you were sharing a home with her. So now all of a sudden it's an issue that Kim Kardashian is a white woman because she is taking care and protecting the likeness and the image of your biracial children. And then to sit here and try to degrade Kim Kardashian for being a white woman when your kids are biracial, that is so idiotic to me. And the real thing is Kim is Armenian. Are Armenians technically considered Asian? Isn't that technically in Asia? I could be wrong on that. But wouldn't she technically be considered an Asian woman? But nevertheless, they don't consider us Asians as Caucasians. They do consider us Asians Caucasian when it's convenient. They don't allow us to be in the minority conversation. But I just thought that was really, really weird. And then you think about it too. It's like your exes are white women. You were dating Julia Fox, that raggedy wench that I've had a number of back and forth exchanges with online because she's very chronically online. She's very unbusy. But yeah, white woman. That is a white woman. Shout out to white women. But Kanye West, what is your beef with white women? It's getting weird. Aren't you married to a white woman? Isn't Bianca a white woman? This woman that you keep taking to all these events and having her be butt crack naked? Literally, that is not a dress. That is not a box-shaped dress. We have to censor the woman's whole body because all she does is walking around with everything showing and revealed. There is nothing to the imagination. Nothing. And she's one of those people that just has on paper, all attractive features, but overall just has no appeal to her. But that's a conversation for another day. She's odd. I feel like there's not he says she's really smart, but it feels like there's not a thought behind her eyes because he's parading her around like a zombie and forcing her to be naked everywhere that she goes. Allegedly. And, it really shows that when you crash out like this, Kanye is trying to do all of this to show I can't be controlled. I can't be censored. Cancel culture is fake. It's like, okay, there's a way to do that. But the way you're doing it is actually making me wish that you just disappeared for a while for the sake of your legacy, Kanye. It's getting bad. You just dropped an album and literally nobody knew. I didn't know about this until I was debating talking about you today. As if Kanye knows who I am, but he might. He's chronically online, so he might. But he dropped this album, Bully, and I am just so shocked. I can't even imagine a world where Kanye West drops an album and nobody's talking about it. I don't know a single song on here. I haven't even heard an 808 or a beat. When Kanye used to drop an album, it used to be a cultural moment where everything stopped. And now he just dropped this album. Did you know about it? Let's ask the audience. Did you know Kanye West just dropped a new album? Because I didn't, and I'm a rap enthusiast, and I didn't even know. Your career is in the toilet. Your album is flopping. Your ex-wife has left you and does not want you around the kids. You dropped this list of all the people that have wronged you, including entire demographics of people. It's like, Kanye, please, for the love of God, take your medicine. And stop trying to blame everything on Jews. Stop trying to blame everything on your ex-wife. Stop trying to blame everything on everyone and take some accountability. Because Kim Kardashian is trying to move on. Kim strikes me as the type of person to not be super vengeful. She's the type to don't go telling lies about me and I won't tell the truths about you. And I feel like he has one more time to come at Kim before she really starts to put his business out there. But Kanye, please take care of yourself. You're going to end up in a conservatorship like Wendy Williams is, who, shout out to Wendy. Wendy is almost free. There are now judges and medical professionals that are standing beside Wendy Williams and saying that it is just about time for her to, get out of this conservatorship, saying that she shouldn't have been in it in the first place. She just needed to recover and go on with her life. And Wendy Williams is almost free. But Kanye, you're about to be in a conservatorship or a guardianship like Britney Spears. And somebody made the argument on Twitter that if Kanye were a woman, he already would be in one. Potentially. I can't argue that because I'm shocked that he isn't in one. But overall, I just hope that he has some people in his circle that are taking care of his future because it feels like he has not in a very, very long time. Moving along. He's the goofy of the day so many times that I couldn't even make him the goofy of the day. He's just the goofy of the year at this point. But the real goofy of the day is Ben & Jerry's. Why are y'all making ice cream so gay? It's getting weird. Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Y'all know Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's, they make good ice cream. What the fuck? Did y'all edit this or is this like a real promotional image?
I think he got this one. Will pulled this one up. He said it was legit.
Okay,
I mean, it's par for the course, so.
Yeah, it's like Ben & Jerry's, their whole thing now, instead of... not the indigenous ice cream, the resist ice cream. I cannot, not the Black Panther ice cream. It tastes like Rosa Parks' strength. So Ben & Jerry's is this ice cream company that I'm sure you guys have heard of that is notoriously woke. If you have had the privilege of not seeing Ben & Jerry's as social propaganda, consider yourself lucky, but today is not your lucky day because you're going to see it. First of all, I want you guys to see a TikTok so you get the real full experience of how woke and unnecessarily nauseating Ben & Jerry's as a company has become.
Stick to ice cream. Not gonna lie, we get this one a lot.
Yeah, we're in the ice cream business, but we've always been about much more than just ice cream. We use our power, our privilege, our platform, and our relationship with our fans to advocate for progressive social change. So no, we're not just going to stick to ice cream.
And we're never going to stop trying to dismantle white supremacy, end the climate crisis, or fight for our democracy.
And no, we're not going to stop fighting laws that restrict trans rights, ban books, and roll back abortion protections.
Caring about that stuff, doing something about it, and supporting communities who've been directly impacted by it.
I can't. What does chopping off your genitals and ripping your baby out of the womb have to do with my Choco Mint ice cream? Honestly, I feel like Ben & Jerry's is the real reason I'm lactose intolerant. There's probably a lawsuit there. I'll find it. And I'll just say, I'm Black. So y'all got to acquiesce to my demand. Send me some reparations around here. So the reason Ben & Jerry's is in the news today is because they just amended their lawsuit because the CEO got fired. The CEO, David Stever, he has been driving so much of the woke propaganda that we see coming from Ben & Jerry's, where he is like the main culprit of all the problems that they have over at Ben & Jerry's. So he filed this amended lawsuit because he is upset that they fired him, saying that it was retaliation because of his woke views. And they're suing their parent company, Unilever. I believe it's Unilever, if I could be saying that incorrectly, but I don't care. Unilever, their acquisition of Ben & Jerry's back in 2000 basically meant that Ben & Jerry's could still be an independent entity within itself, but it's under the parent company. And they are supposed to, work with the board when it comes to making these major decisions, when it comes to messaging, because Ben & Jerry's has always been a woke company. They weren't lying about that. But that being said, now that Unilever has fired Mr. Stever, they are saying that it is because of the retaliation that that Stever, the CEO, was dismissing Trump because of his activism, because he's super pro-Palestine and ceasefire in Gaza, and because of all of his performative issues. Okay, so I just look at this and I think it's so funny that you are so unserious to think that you are being fired simply because you're woke. It's not simply because you're woke. I wish there was a day where you were getting fired because you're woke. They knew that you were a woke company when they acquired you. The reason that this CEO got fired is because you're losing an insane amount of money because you went too far. I can respect companies standing on their values, but it gets to a point where it's just like, this is excessive. And when every ad you make is about indigenous people or white supremacy or transgenderism and tranny-licious divas, like, it gets exhausting and people don't want to support your brand anymore. People get really disgusted when they buy your ice cream because it tastes like LGBT. Why does the ice cream taste like LGBT? Ice cream shouldn't taste like LGBT. So what are you doing here? What are you doing? It's getting out of control. Maybe the company is tired of losing money. And Unilever is clapping back saying that we didn't fire him for retaliation. We fired him because he's fumbling the bag. He is fumbling the bag. At the end of the day, it is a financial situation. It is a financial decision. And when you go woke, nowadays it's especially true, you go broke. You're broke. You're going broke. Back in 2021, Ben & Jerry's stopped selling their ice cream in Israel because they wanted to stand with Gaza. You stopped serving your ice cream to an entire nation because you want to stand with musty terrorists? Please, your ice cream is musty now. So, of course, Unilever is denying the allegations and saying that this is all, they're trying to not play it all out in court or play it all out in the public just yet. But as more details come out, I am sure that their stance is going to be, like I just said, we fired you because you were making us lose money. People are boycotting. People are sick of it. People are embarrassed to eat your ice cream in public. It's the same energy as how Bud Light is. To this day, because you guys are going to judge me for this, I don't drink beer a lot, but when I do drink beer, my favorite beer used to be Bud Light Platinums. I can't drink a Bud Light in public anymore. I would rather just sip my water, which is better for me anyway, than risk it all and be seen drinking a Bud Light. Ever since the Dylan Mulvaney ad. I mean, that was a PR nightmare. Talk about not reading the room. Now with ice cream, that truly should not have any kind of barriers when it comes to politics, but you really think Dylan Mulvaney is who people wanted to see as the face of Bud Light? Like, really? Really? Like, that was just such a bad PR move. If you guys, I'm sure you remember it. How could you forget it? And then I'll never forget, though, the way that they tried to basically apologize. So they shot themselves in both feet, but it was like a half apology. So they truly just tanked all of their sales. It's like, that is a PR nightmare. But I can respect that when conservatives are fed up with something, we just fall back. We just say, you're not getting my little coins anymore, Miss Mamas. That's all it is. You're not getting my little coins. But the left, when they're upset about something, they go and start destroying people's cars. You see the videos of them out here vandalizing these Teslas? Try mine. Try mine. Okay? Because ain't no yelling cut when it's shooting time. And I'm protected by my God and my Glock. And mark my words, if my Sentry mode catches somebody on my whip, it's going to get uglier than Ken Barbie. And if you don't know who Ken Barbie is, ugliest blogger in the world. Don't try it. Don't try it. Because you see all these Teslas being destroyed. You see them all being set on fire. People are keying them, spray painting them, doing all these awful things to people's Teslas. Why are you destroying people's personal belongings? In fact, Tesla is an e-vehicle, so a lot of people who have Tesla are on the left. I remember I was getting so much flack from conservatives saying that, oh, you're going woke. Is that why you got an e-vehicle? I just don't like going to gas stations because gas stations are ghetto. And gas was $7 in California for a bit. And when gas is $7, yeah, I'm done paying for gas at this ghetto gas station. I never want to be at another ghetto gas station again. So I went and I got myself an electric vehicle. But that being said, a lot of the people, see, look at this. Look at all these Teslas being destroyed. That is just so much money, so much insurance, so many things going down the drain. And then y'all wonder why insurance prices keep going up. Because you keep doing all this damage. And then also, do you know how bad that is for the environment to burn a Tesla? Are you serious? Those lithium batteries? Please. I wish she would. I wish she would. I don't condone violence, but don't forget I'm from Chicago. It will get real ugly in here if I see somebody step towards my Tesla. I don't even like people breathing on my vehicle. I will fist fight a bird for pooping on my car. And y'all are out here keying people's Teslas to make some kind of statement. All you're doing is, again, making people despise you and your side that much more. Then you got idiots out there like Tim Walz, who went and said how he was bragging about how bad Tesla is being affected by all of this and how Tesla's stock was going down and making fun of it. It's like, what kind of governor and vice presidential candidate are you that you are out here celebrating the downfall of the potential downfall of one of, if not the biggest corporations in our country? Tesla is worth so much money. They put so many people in jobs. They're putting money on so many people's tables, and you're celebrating the downfall of this extremely lucrative business. These people will never beat the America Last allegations. These people are never going to beat it. And what makes Tim look even goofier is, Tim, your state of Minnesota has 1.6 million shares in Tesla. You're fumbling your own bag. Shout out to Bill Maloogian. Bill Maloogian tweeted this and called out how Governor Walz was gloating about Tesla's stock dropping, and you literally have 1.6 million shares in Tesla and in its retirement fund, and 211,000 shares of Tesla in its non-retirement fund. And you're sitting here making fun of Tesla dropping. You dropped your own bag. Okay? You want to be a martyr so bad. Now you're broke. Now you're broke and your economy is in shambles. Ain't that funny? And shout out to Bill. He's trying to figure out if they sold all their shares or not, or if they still have shares. But you know what? It just goes to show these people are so goofy and they have no idea what they're standing for. All they're standing for is anarchy and the downfall of America and American businesses. And this is why people are trying to make America great again. But I still got to shade that movement too a little bit, just not too much. But don't do too much on Jackie Robinson now, okay? It's the DEI in the room with us. They're going to eat me up with that clip. I got to start being aware that sometimes people will try to clip me, making me look crazy. Because, people try to call me a DEI hire. I work too hard for this chair to be a DEI hire, okay? I might be a little diverse, but ain't nothing equitable about here. You can't sit in my chair. You're not included in my chair. This ain't DEI. But when it comes to Jackie Robinson, y'all know Jackie Robinson, baseball legend, military hero. Shout out to Jackie Robinson. So this legend, just a little background on him and what the whole scandal is regarding Jackie. He was born on January 31st, 1999 in Cairo, Georgia. He was then raised in Pasadena, California by a single mother after his father left. Never beating the fatherless allegations. The father absence allegations are very much harming my community. But he still overcame the odds. He excelled in multiple sports at UCLA. He was the first athlete there to letter in 4 different sports. He lettered in baseball, basketball, football, and track. He was the jack of all trades. So Jackie Robinson, he went into the MLB. He broke all these different records. He broke the color barrier back in 1947 as the first black player for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And he actually did endure racism. You have to remember, this is before civil rights. Okay, when we talk about racism of the past, we're not trying to erase history here. We're not trying to whitewash history here. We're not trying to glamorize history here. What was happening in the 1940s was very, very ugly. What happened prior to the civil rights movement was very, very ugly. Okay, nobody's denying that. I can only imagine the slurs and the hate that he dealt with being a black man in the MLB, the first one to do it, I believe. If not the very first, he was amongst the first. And nevertheless, he did not allow that to stop him. He kept going. He persevered. He stood on business. He was the Rookie of the Year in 1947. He then became the MVP 2 years later. He's, I believe, a 6-time All-Star. He helped the Dodgers win the World Series. This is a man whose accolades speak for themselves. He has a .311 batting average, however you would say that. He has a .311 batting average, which I looked it up. That is beyond excellent. Like, a very good batting average is 270 to 290. If you're over 300, you're considered exceptional. And he had multiple seasons over 300. He is in the Hall of Fame for a reason, because with a batting average like that, you don't miss. Okay, so I say all this to say, also, another fact for you, he stole over 197 bases. He wasn't out here stealing shoes like Peanut and them. He wasn't some hood rat. He was out here stealing bases. He was averaging 15 to 20 steals per year in a time where that was not very common. Actually, and he had 37 in 1949. Like, Jackie Robinson didn't play. Don't play on his name. And before that, he was a military hero. He was drafted into the U.S. Army in 1942, and he served as a second lieutenant. So with all the great things that he has going on in his life, he was celebrated on the Department of Defense's website. There was a website dedicated to him, and the purpose of the website was Sports Heroes Who Served. It was a series highlighting athletes with military service that was published back in 2021. And the focus was really, again, on his World War II Army service before the MLB. And the whole thing portrayed him as an American hero. It was very patriotic, and it really shows just how far our country has come. Now, what made me mad is I'm very pro wiping the DEI, the transgender stuff all off of the government websites because we don't need any of that. But somebody, I'm hoping it was a mistake, somebody went and removed Jackie Robinson's page from the Department of Defense that was a part of this series. But what made me really, really irritated by it is not only did they remove it, but they changed the URL to include DEI sports in the URL. Maybe the person who did this is not educated on who Jackie Robinson is, but Jackie Robinson is not a DEI hire. Okay? Like, how dare you? How dare you add that into the URL? It was quickly restored, I believe, just a day after because there was so much backlash, and the original URL was put, the original content was preserved in archives for a bit, but I do believe the website is, up and back to normal now. So I want to really break this down for y'all because a lot of people have been saying DEI, and it is a word that I feel like is very overexposed. I talk about DEI a lot. I'm very aware of what DEI is and what DEI has become. But what we're not going to do is confuse what could have been considered DEI back then versus what it is now. Because I saw people even saying that he's a DEI legend. Well, Jackie Robinson was at an era where diversity was not allowed, equity was not anywhere on the table, equality is the term I prefer, and that for sure still wasn't on the table, and they were very much excluded until he forced himself to be, he was so good, he forced them to include him. Okay, so this wasn't the DEI that we see today. This is a man who dealt with real racism, real segregation, and real inequality, and he overcame it all regardless of the odds. This is somebody that should be set as the standard of Black excellence, not as a DEI hire. Okay, that is a term that is getting so overexposed. And again, and I'm not like, obviously President Trump didn't go and do this himself, but somebody on his team, I'm just going to give the benefit of the doubt and assume that they were ignorant on who Jackie Robinson really was. And because it mentions things of, oh, he was the first Black, he was the first Black. First Black does not always mean something bad. It's corny nowadays in most situations. But in a time like that, in an era like that, it was very meaningful to be the first Black MLB player. He earned his position regardless of race. And that is the difference. So let me paint this out for y'all. Let me draw this out. Okay, I made a DEI versus not DEI Venn diagram. Okay, let's bring up the blank slate. Okay. Y'all know how Venn diagrams work, right? I love a Venn diagram. Shout out to Venn diagrams. So on the left, you have DEI. On the right, you have not DEI. An example of a DEI hire. Let's run it up. Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine Jean-Pierre is a DEI hire. Okay, and the reason I say that is because, yes, she has some credentials. She's got a little piece of education on her. But the very first thing that this woman made clear the second she got on the podium is how she is Black, she's queer, she's an immigrant, and probably a few other intersectionalities. Okay, the very first thing that she had to let us know is all the different intersectionalities of Victim Bingo Olympics that she holds. Okay, and when it comes to all the people who were eligible for this role, she just was not good. It's like, I wonder, did she audition? Because I remember her stumbling all 4 years. And I was rooting for her. I was really rooting for her in the first half because, I was just getting over my stint of being woke when she became the new press secretary. But oh my goodness, was she terrible at her job. And she would have been fired, in my opinion, had she not been this Black, lesbian, curly-headed immigrant. Okay, that is a DEI hire. Now, someone who is not a DEI hire is Simone Biles. Shout out to Black women. Shout out to Simone Biles. Simone Biles, the standard, the legend, the GOAT. You're not touching Simone Biles. Nobody's going to touch her probably this century. Okay, if you don't know who this queen is, this American treasure, she is the most accoladed male or female in all of gymnastics, I believe. She is the most accoladed athlete in all of gymnastics, if I recall correctly. She literally is the standard. She did moves that were so difficult that they became banned. That is how good Simone Biles is. Nobody will ever, ever, ever be able to have the audacity to twist their lips and say that Simone Biles doesn't deserve every gold medal that she has, because she earned it. She worked hard for it. She is an American treasure, an American hero. Okay? So see the difference. One, questionable qualifications. Wasn't good at the job. Should have been fired, but she kept the job because of the way she looks and who she sleeps with. Then on the other side, it doesn't matter who Simone Biles sleeps with. Simone Biles could be as white as an albino snowman, and she would still be that girl. Simone Biles would still be the GOAT. And then what I love about a Venn diagram, there's always a little bit of gray room right there in the middle. The perfect example of the middle of a DEI versus not DEI Venn diagram. Barack Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Hear me out, hear me out, hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. Now, Barack Obama, on paper, perfect candidate as a president, objectively. Okay, he was fast-tracked to senator. He is an incredible speaker. He might be lying. He might be lying his behind off the whole time he's at the podium, but it sure does sound convincing. He was legitimately a great candidate as far as credentials goes, as far as credibility goes. However, we can't deny that a lot of the people who voted for Barack Obama simply voted for him because they wanted a black president. A lot of people did. So many people will admit to you that they wanted to prove a point that America is no longer racist. And it was a beautiful moment in American history. You know, the next 8 years might have been the pit of hell, but the moment where Obama, I feel like objectively, the moment when Obama was elected, it was one of those moments of, wow, America has come really far. This shows just how removed we are from the oppression Olympics. Okay, so that is giving DEI, but he does have the credentials even without DEI. You get what I'm saying? So Karine Jean-Pierre didn't deserve her job. Barack Obama, he earned it, just wasn't good at it, but he earned it technically. But there was definitely a push because of his skin color. Simone Biles, that girl. Shout out to Simone Biles. You did that, Simone Biles. And that's all I have to say about that. Let me know if you need another master class. I need to start doing more Venn diagrams for you guys because I want to really break it down for you. Next, let's talk about the JFK files. This show is so chaotic. So I'm going to talk about this very briefly because the JFK files came out. We got 80,000 of what I reminded you guys was actually 6 million pages. We got the cherry picked pages is what I'm assuming. Some people were like, oh, the other pages were probably irrelevant. Please. Okay, please be so for real. 80,000 out of 6 million pages. You can't tell me there wasn't a lot of tea and receipts that were left out. Come on now. Let's be so for real. So of the 80,000 pages that we got regarding JFK and his assassination, it was supposed to give us more clarity on what happened to JFK, what happened to RFK, what happened to MLK. I was really rooting for it. I wanted to know what happened to Marilyn Monroe. And shout out to everybody that sent me more information about that. The Marilyn Monroe case is really deep. I learned way more details than I even knew about that situation from you guys, just sending in your comments and messages and the receipts of how shady that was. But all of it's connected. Then I learned, because, you know, I was born in 97. I was only 2. Did y'all know JFK Jr. died in a suspicious plane accident? I just find that suspicious, okay? I just find it a little suspicious. So there is a lot of information that we deserve to know about this situation. So we have to take what we get sometimes. But what we did learn is just a little bit more context to clarify that the conspiracy theorists are pretty much right. Because mind you, it has been public knowledge for as long as this whole situation has gone on that JFK was beefing with the CIA and that he was wanting to restructure or even dismantle parts of the agency. Now, the CIA clearly, based on these files that we've gotten, knew a lot more about the murderer of JFK, Lee Harvey Oswald, than they really let on. So what we learned in these documents is that the CIA has been had been tracking Oswald for years. Because again, I thought it was suspicious. This guy was a Marine sniper. A Marine sniper. And I'm just supposed to believe that he crashed out and decided he wanted to off the president just to make a statement. I don't buy that for 1 second, and I don't think most people in American history do. So we learned from these documents that the CIA had been monitoring his activities, his contacts, and his mail for years. Yet they downplayed their knowledge after the assassination because they didn't want too many questions to be raised about what actually happened. The records also suggest that multiple intelligence agencies amongst the US, the Soviet Union, and Cuba. Y'all wanted it to be Israel so bad, but Soviet Union, Cuba, and the US, they were already in communication with Oswald. He was on their radar, and there's all these documents that really, really prove that. So it's really hard for me to believe that he did this alone. Yes, he may have been the lone gunman, but I don't believe for 1 second that this plan was executed by himself, okay? Let's make that very clear. And based on these 80,000 pages that we've gotten, it's quite apparent to me that there was no chance that he just went and did this on his own, because why else would he have been in Mexico City trying to get visas from the Soviet Union and from Cuba? Explain that. I find that suspicious. I find that weird. You're having these phone calls and going to Mexico City trying to get these visas? That's weird. And you did this right before assassinating the president? Yeah. How did you even get into the Mexico City embassy? Can you just walk in and start requesting to talk to world leaders? I don't think so, unless there's some significance to who you are or what you are preparing to do. But again, sorry to the musty anti-Semites that wanted to blame this one on the Jews. Yet again, you guys just proved yourselves to be very, very unhinged and just quite delusional. And it's just honestly so weird to me that people were genuinely excited for these files for the sole purpose of trying to pin this on the Jews. But once again, y'all end up looking like musty terrorist sympathizers and clowns. And unfortunately, this seems like it's going to be another mystery where too much time has passed for us to actually make a real difference regarding what happened. And it's very unfortunate. It's very sad, but rest in peace to everybody involved. And to me, it seems very, very clear that the CIA had, if not involvement, definitely some knowledge of the deep state and the military industrial complex and everything that was going on that led to JFK's unfortunate assassination. But while it's too late for JFK, it's not too late for Diddy. It's not too late for Epstein. So I'm going to need this administration to keep their foot on their necks. I still want the Epstein files properly given to us. I still want the Diddy files. Why don't we have 80,000 files on that? Okay? Because there's still information that I hate to be that trust me bro source kind of person, but sometimes I have to be because of sources of people that I meet in LA in high level spaces. And there are things that I know about Diddy that I'm taking to my grave if it never comes out publicly, because what you're not going to do is have me get hemmed up. Oh no, I have security more often than not, so don't run up on me. But I would need some real protection if I start spilling even some of the tea that I know. So the fact that none of that is public information yet, and I'm just hearing it through the grapevine of people who have worked close to his camp, that is very, very concerning to me. We need the government to start being more transparent with us. Trust me, bro. That's the source. And last but not least, let's talk about the Department of Education and how it's destroying America and soon will be destroyed. Oh, yeah. So it might have happened by now as I was preparing for the show, but today, President Donald Jaquan Trump is set to sign an executive order abolishing the Department of Education. Now, I don't know what the timeline for that would be. I know it shouldn't be something immediate. I would assume that's something with a relatively quick rollout, but I want to really explain to you guys why the DOE is such a failure. Because I didn't know much about the Department of Education up until really starting at PragerU, to be honest, because we're so education focused. And I started doing some research on them and I was like, okay, this is really, really bad. So even when I heard like at first the conversations about abolishing the DOE, I was like, whoa, like that's a lot. But now I understand why. So let me just give y'all a little rundown on how bad the DOE is and how we went from being ranked #1 in education in 1979 when the Department of Education became this federal institution versus nowadays where we can barely maintain our spot in the top 30. So if you don't know what the Department of Education's entire purpose is, they were established in 1979 to promote student achievement and ensure equal access to education by administering federal funding, enforcing education laws, and supporting schools and colleges nationwide. Now, how they go about doing that is some BS. First of all, when it comes to the funding, what they're really doing is they take the state's dollars, slash the dollars in half, and then they give it back to the states and say, go do some woke stuff with this. That's literally how it works. If you go and you look at the entire operation, the entire flow of cash from state to federal agency, then back to state, that is the cliff notes of what's happening. They literally cut the money in half and they tell them now go fund something stupid. That is how the Department of Education works. Now, I have literally a list of failures that I want to read to you guys because I need you to really understand how messy the Department of Education is. We were number 1 in education. We plummeted all the way to number 4 in education. You now have 85% of Black students that are illiterate. They lack proficiency in reading skills. That makes them deemed illiterate. Reading proficiency of white students is only about 42%. So it's still low. It is still low. And the percentage for Black students, it might fluctuate here and there about 5%, but still you have over 80% of Black students that are illiterate, that lack in reading proficiency. You also have over 80% of Black 4th graders who are not proficient in reading, to be more specific. So it starts very, very young and it goes all the way until they get older that they cannot read. Then you have the total U.S. student loan debt because they're in charge of all the student loan situations. Why on earth do we have over $1.5 trillion of student loan debt in our country? I believe it's now at $1.75 trillion in student loan debt. Okay. And that's just U.S. student loan debt. When it comes to federal student loan debt, that's 1.7. That's held by 42.7 million borrowers. You have 43 million students in debt to the government because of their education. That is not the point of the loan. The loan is not to put you in debt and financially behind. The loan is supposed to help you get an education that can help you afford a more quality lifestyle. Why is the government giving out loans to keep you in debt so that you get into a career that can't afford to pay it off? Okay. And if you want to educate yourself more in student loan debt, go to meritstreetmedia.com and look at my episode on Dr. Phil. We had an extremely viral clip where I pretty much told somebody, like, y'all are going and getting these degrees that have nothing to do with money, basically, where you're not going to make any money. And then you're shocked that you're in all this debt. I remember there was somebody on there that was $150,000 in debt to learn how to cook. And shout out to Bradley. He's a really nice guy. He's actually low-key based. Don't be fooled. He went $150,000 in debt to learn how to cook. Like, you cannot be serious. I actually have that video pinned on my Instagram if you want to go see it. Plug in my own Instagram, on my own YouTube, and I would do it again. And, more things. 61% of ACT tested Black students in 2015 met none of the 4 college readiness benchmarks. See, I'm sitting here stuttering. I sound like I can't pass the college readiness, but I actually did great on the ACT for the record. But 61% failed across the board when it comes to college readiness. And 31% of all students also failed. So that's still a lot. That is still a lot of failure where you have that many students that aren't up to par in one of any of the 4 benchmarks, which I believe were reading, science, math, and writing. I can't remember. I took the ACT a long time ago, child. It's about to be my 10-year reunion from high school. And then again, California, you have this really wealthy state. Only 30% of California high school students were ready for conditional reading only 30% of California high school students were ready conditionally for college work when it comes to math and English. Okay. California has all this money coming from the DOE, and you're telling me only 30% of students are ready for college? What is the point of even being educated? What is the point of even having college if you're sending these students there? We just talked about a couple weeks ago how there was a girl who graduated with a 3.5 GPA and a bunch of scholarships, and she literally was unable to read or write. She was truly illiterate and still graduated with honors. Okay, why is the bar in hell? Math proficiency, similar scores. 84% of black students lack in math proficiency. And the reason I keep highlighting with black is because since everybody wants to be so woke, and since the Department of Education is so woke, and they're always talking about minorities, why aren't they doing what they got to do to make sure that black students are up to par when it comes to a college that they're not qualified for, rather than making sure that these students are qualified beforehand? So this is a problem. So the solution that comes here is that education is best suited when the education is best suited when the education is localized. We need to make it to where the state and localized institutions are who are taking care of educating the children. It's much more hands-on. It's much more cost efficient. You have less bureaucracies. You have a lot more attention to detail when you have local education prioritized the way that it used to be. When all these students were excelling, it was because we had state education standards rather than these federal education standards that are overbearing to everything. Okay? If you want to change the fact that 84% of black students lack in proficiency because you're so pro-black and you're so pro-affirmative action, then we need to demolish the Department of Education. It is time. And PragerU Kids is right there to sweep up the mess, because just a reminder, we have all sorts of, oh, look at me. Shout out to PragerU Kids. If you don't know, I started with PragerU Kids when I got here. I hosted a show called Guess or Mess, where these kids are brilliant, absolutely brilliant kids. That show was for 3rd through 5th graders. We have content for literally toddlers, middle schoolers, high schoolers, everything in between over on PragerU Kids. And you can help support all the different educational materials that we have by going to PragerU.com and making a tax-deductible donation today. Again, we are doing a triple match special. Every dollar that you give will be tripled, and it is tax deductible, and you will help us make education great again, because we so desperately need it. And I'm so excited to see the Department of Education. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in for yet another episode of Respectfully Xavier. Please keep leaving your comments, liking, sharing. Help us blow this page up. You guys keep being like, oh my gosh, everybody should be watching this show. Then make sure that they see it, okay? I appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving. Be sure to check the survey that is in the bio or in the description. Let me know what it is you like on the show, what you don't like to hear about. Do you like these deep dives? Who do you want me to cover? All that good stuff. And I will see you on Tuesday.